Welcome to the Healthy Eating module for trainers. We've designed this as a companion to your trainer's guide to help you visualize the recommended steps for sharing information about healthy eating effectively. As a trainer, your goal is that by the end of the session, participants will be able to describe nutrition information about the food groups, which include vegetables, fruits, grains, breads and starch, meat and other proteins, and milk and other dairy products. They'll also be able to describe the My Plate method and create healthy menus using this method, understand the information on food labels, and prepare an action plan. Please remind participants to talk to their doctor about any diet changes. Here's a quick overview of the flow of a complete healthy eating session. The introduction should take around 10 minutes. A discussion on what is healthy eating should also take around 10 minutes. A group activity titled My Plate should take around 15 minutes. A group activity which includes activity cards should also take around 15 minutes. A discussion about what is a food label should take around 20 minutes, and a third group activity titled Find Me should take around 10 minutes. Allow 5 minutes for discussing the action plan, and closing the session should also take around 5 minutes. You may decide to omit these 2 items if you're conducting a 60-minute version of the session. Now that you've seen the big picture, let's talk about the materials you'll want on hand before your participants arrive. Here's a checklist of materials that will help the session go smoothly. Check that you have a flip chart, markers, pencils or pens, name cards, and optionally, refreshments. There are 4 handouts for this session: a worksheet titled The My Plate Method, a worksheet titled Find Me, an action plan for healthy eating, and Healthy Eating, What You Need to Know. Print out enough copies for all of your participants before the session begins. If you're conducting a 60-minute session, you won't be needing copies of the Find Me worksheet. There are also 5 activity cards. You'll only need 1 copy of each card since you'll be dividing the participants into 5 teams, and each team will get 1 card. You'll find all originals in the printable materials section of your trainer's guide. Lastly, prepare an attendance sheet so your participants can sign in when they arrive. With your materials in order, you can begin introducing the session. Topic A of the Trainer's Guide covers everything you'll need for getting the session started. As the participants enter the room, greet them warmly to create a welcoming atmosphere. Ask each person to sign the attendance sheet. Write each participant's name on a name card and make sure the card can be seen. After all participants are seated, introduce yourself formally to the group. Ask participants to introduce themselves and provide a simple guideline about what information they should share. For example, you might ask that they state their name, their hometown, and a favorite hobby. After the introductions, explain that the session will last 60 minutes or 90 minutes, depending on the time you've allowed, and tell the participants what they can expect. You can state that there'll be group discussions about healthy eating, a variety of activities for learning about healthy eating in a fun way, and opportunities to think about and share ideas about healthy eating. Make a special point to encourage participants to ask questions at any time during the session. Remember to mention where the restrooms and water fountains are, especially if there are participants who are unfamiliar with the location. Before you begin the actual content of the session, Ask the participants for suggestions about setting some ground rules for the next hour or 90 minutes, and write their suggestions on the flip chart. Keep the rules visible someplace in the room throughout the session. Your group is likely to come up with their own ideas, but typically it's good to include turning off cell phones, keeping all discussions during the session confidential, feeling free to ask questions, and avoiding sidebars by directing all questions to you or to the entire group so that everyone can hear the discussion. You can start the first group discussion of the session by asking everyone 2 questions. What is healthy eating? And why do you think healthy eating is important? Use a new sheet on the flip chart to write their responses. You'll find complete information to supplement their responses in the Key Points box for Discussion B in the Trainer's Guide. You can use the key points to encourage group discussion if participants are silent at first. You can start by explaining that eating healthy is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Experts agree that the key to healthy eating is balance, variety, and moderation. That means eating a wide variety of foods without getting too many calories or too much of any one nutrient. Eat a variety of nutrient-rich foods every day, including more fruit, vegetables, whole grains, and low-fat or fat-free dairy. Also include lean meat, poultry and fish, beans, eggs, and nuts in moderation. Eat moderate portions. Use a smaller plate, bowl, and glass, and stop eating when you feel satisfied, not full. Balance food choices over time. Not every food has to be perfect. When eating a food high in fat, salt, or sugar, select other foods that are low in these ingredients. If you miss out on any food group one day, make up for it the next. Food choices over several days should fit together into a healthy pattern. Maintain a healthy weight. The weight that's right for you depends on many factors, including your gender, height, age, and heredity. Excess body fat increases the chance for high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, some types of cancer, and other illnesses. Being too thin can increase your risk for osteoporosis, menstrual irregularities, and other health problems. If you are constantly losing weight and then gaining it back again, think about speaking with a registered dietitian. Regular exercise is also important for maintaining a healthy weight. Talk with your healthcare provider before starting any new exercise program. Read food labels. They can help you make healthy choices quickly and easily. When you share this information with the participants, avoid reading the key points word for word. Instead, speak naturally and maintain eye contact. The first group activity is item C in the Trainer's Guide, and it's called My Plate. The purpose of this activity is to provide participants with information on how to use the plate method. You'll need your markers, the flip chart, pens or pencils, and 1 copy of the My Plate worksheet for each participant. We'll outline the process for this activity and then talk about the key points to cover. Start the activity by explaining that they'll be learning about healthy eating. Give each participant a pen or pencil and a copy of the My Plate worksheet. Ask them to imagine that the circle is a regular 9-inch plate, and then use their pen or pencil to highlight the vertical line down the middle of the plate, dividing the left side from the right side. Then Ask them to highlight the horizontal line between the grains, breads, starch section and the meat protein section, and then to highlight the remaining line between the fruits section and the vegetables section. Ask them to write the name of any fruits they would like to eat in the top left part of the plate. Ask them to write the names of non-starchy vegetables they would like to eat in the bottom left part of the plate. Ask them to write the name of a food from the grains, bread, starch group in the top right quarter of the plate. Ask them to write the name of a food from the meat protein group in the remaining section of the plate. To finish, ask them to write the name of a food from the milk group in the glass to the top right of the plate. Invite the participants to repeat the exercise a couple of times. This will help them practice the plate method so they can develop their own healthy menus. Explain to the participants that the plate method is a technique that's very easy to follow and may serve as a guide to balance a meal and eat healthy. After the participants complete the activity, your responsibility as a facilitator is to clarify or provide additional information. See the Key Points box for Activity C for things that should be covered by the facilitator or the group during the activity. The key points include that the My Plate method helps us choose healthy portions. Some steps for getting started are to put any oversized dishes and bowls out of sight so you don't use them. Choose 100% whole grains when possible. Try to vary your protein to include seafood at least twice a week. Make half your plate fruits and vegetables. Cut back on salt, fats, and sweets. Switch to fat-free or low-fat dairy products. If you don't drink milk, you can add another small serving of calcium-fortified soy product. Additional key messages are to eat the right amount of calories for you, enjoy your food, eat slowly, eat less, avoid oversized portions, drink more water instead of sugary drinks, and be physically active to maintain a healthy weight. As you go over the key points, remember to maintain eye contact with the participants. Conclude this activity by thanking everyone for their participation. The next group activity is item D in the trainer's guide, and its purpose is to lead the participants in a discussion on the food groups: vegetables, fruit, grains, bread, starch, meat, protein, and milk, dairy. You'll need your markers, the flip chart, and one copy of each of the 5 activity cards. You'll find sample instructions for introducing this activity in the trainer's guide. You'll use your own words, but you can begin with something like, "Now, to start talking about healthy eating, we're going to conduct an activity. It'll be fun and easy, so please try to relax and let me explain what we'll be doing." After you've introduced the activity, divide the participants into 5 teams and give each team one of the activity cards. Explain that their task is to take 5 minutes to read the information on their card and discuss it with their team. Let them know that they'll be asked to select one team member to report back to the group to explain the information on their card. Reassure participants that they shouldn't worry about memorizing all of the information on the card and that the purpose is for them to understand the information. Also let them know that if they have any trouble reading the information, they should ask for help without feeling embarrassed. For example, someone may have forgotten to bring reading glasses. Give the teams 5 minutes to read and discuss the information. During the team discussions, walk around the room and offer your help. You'll want to convey a friendly and positive attitude. Make sure not to criticize the participants or make any negative remarks. Let the teams know when there are about 2 minutes left so they can start finishing up. When the 5 minutes are over, ask the selected member from each team to share the information on their card. The group may ask questions and may add 1 or 2 additional points. After each team finishes their report, your job is to clarify or provide additional information related to that activity card. There's a key points box for this activity in the trainer's guide that includes all the information that should be covered before the end of the activity. Refer to these points, but again, try not to read the content word for word. As you go over the key points, remember to maintain eye contact with the participants. We'll take a few moments now to present the key points from each of the 5 activity cards. Share with the participants that there's a strong relationship between the things we eat and our health. Watching our food intake does not mean we have to stop eating. We just have to learn how to combine different foods in a healthy way and eat them in the right portions. Activity card 1 is about vegetables. Most adults need 2.5 cups of vegetables per day, which may be more vegetables than you're used to eating. By increasing vegetables, you're bringing your meals back into balance and adding fiber, vitamins, and minerals you might have been missing. Vegetables also help fill you up without filling you out. It's best not to have just one kind of vegetable because you can get tired of even your favorite foods that way. Try a small salad and half of a cooked vegetable for more variety and color. Some vegetables are high in starch and carbohydrates. They belong in the bread and starch section of the plate. Examples are corn, peas, yams, potatoes, and winter squash, which has a hard shell. So, just to review, corn and peas should not be on the vegetable half of the plate. 1 cup of raw vegetables is about the size of a baseball. Activity card 2 is about fruit. Aim for about 2 cups each day. Any fruit or 100% fruit juice counts as part of the fruit group. Fruits can be fresh, canned, frozen, or dried. You can eat them whole, cut up, or pureed. Eating fruits of different colors gives your body a wide range of valuable nutrients. Activity card 3 is about grains, breads, and starch. This includes any food made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or another cereal grain. Make at least half your grains whole. Choose 100% whole grain breads, cereals, crackers, pasta, and brown rice. Most adults should eat 6 ounces per day. Whole grains can also be healthy snacks. For example, popcorn is a whole grain and can be a healthy snack if you have it without a lot of salt or butter. Activity card 4 is about meat and other proteins, which should be in 1/4 of the plate. You can use any type of meat, fish, poultry, tofu, eggs, and nuts. These are high in protein, but are sometimes high in fat. Remove visible fat before cooking and eating. Keep meat and poultry portions small and lean. Most adults should eat 5.5 ounces a day. Remember that low-fat foods are better for your heart and your waistline. Healthier cooking choices include baked, broiled, and boiled items that have little fat added. Twice a week, make seafood the protein on your plate. 3 ounces of protein is about the size of a deck of cards. Activity card 5 is about milk. Find a small coffee cup or glass that holds about 1 cup for foods in this section. Fat-free milk, skim milk, 1% milk, and light yogurt are your best choices. Use a small dish for a serving of light ice cream or sugar-free pudding for variety. You need 3 servings a day from this group to get enough calcium. Based on 2010 dietary guidelines, teens also need 3 servings. If you don't drink milk, talk to a registered dietitian educator about ways to add calcium to your diet. Conclude the activity by thanking everyone for their participation. Unless you're running a 60-minute session, in which case you'll go directly to the action plan in Topic G, the next group discussion is titled, What is a Food Label? Begin a group discussion by asking participants, what is a food label? What is the purpose of the food labels on the food packages? And what can you do when you shop for food or eat out to help you stick to your healthy eating goals? Write their responses on the flip chart. You can use the information in the Key Points box in the Trainer's Guide to encourage group discussion. The key points begin with a note that food labels give us important information about nutrition and that this information can help you choose the appropriate foods for planning your meals. The key points also include a brief explanation for 12 sections of a typical nutrition facts label. Share these points with the participants, but avoid reading them word for word. We'll briefly go over these points now so you know what's included. For serving size, it's very important to identify the portion size since some packages contain more than 1 serving. Servings per container tells you how many servings the product contains. The calories section refers to the amount of energy that each food serving provides. You can usually find the number of calories from fat on the same line. This number is important because very often most of the calories come from fat. Total fat tells you the total amount of fat grams that 1 serving of the product has. This amount is the sum of the saturated fat, unsaturated fat, and cholesterol. Saturated fat tells you the amount of saturated fat found in the product. This type of fat is in meats, butter, lard, pork fat, and other foods that come from animals. Trans fat raises your bad cholesterol levels and lowers your good cholesterol levels. Eating trans fats can increase your risk of developing heart disease. Cholesterol is a type of fat that's contained in some foods. To control high blood cholesterol, it's important to consume foods that are low in saturated fat and high in fiber. For sodium, in general, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends an intake of less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, or about 1 teaspoon of salt. Total carbohydrates represent the total amount of carbohydrates, fiber, and other added sugars. This information is especially important if you're counting the amount of carbohydrates you are consuming. Dietary fiber is a substance found in foods that come from plants. Some fiber helps in the digestive process, and some fiber may lower cholesterol and help control blood glucose. Sugar is a simple carbohydrate that your body uses for fuel. It has no other nutritional value. Reading the ingredient label on processed foods can help identify added sugars. Some names for added sugars are anhydrous dextrose, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, and sucrose. Proteins are one of the types of nutrients. Cells need proteins to grow and to mend themselves. Beef, chicken, fish, milk, and eggs are examples of foods that contain animal proteins. Beans, tofu, and whole grain cereals are a good source of vegetable protein. The last section is vitamins and minerals. Vitamins are organic substances found plentifully in less processed foods. These are essential to normal metabolism and growth. Insufficient amounts in the diet may cause vitamin or mineral deficiency and may result in disease. The Trainer's Guide also includes suggestions for healthy eating on a budget and tips for healthy eating when you eat out. For healthy eating on a budget, the suggestions are to plan, purchase, and prepare. The information in the Trainer's Guide provides more detail, but the key points for plan are to use a shopping list for the week and then stay within your budget. For purchase, don't shop when you're hungry, so you'll be less tempted to buy foods that aren't on your list. For prepare, cook ahead on days that you have extra time. You can double up on recipes and freeze meal-sized containers of the foods you prepare. The tips for healthy eating when you eat out include to choose a smaller size option, share an entree or take-home part of your meal, check for posted calorie counts or check online before you go to a restaurant. Choose dishes that include vegetables, fruits, and/or whole grains. Avoid foods that are listed as creamy, fried, breaded, battered, or buttered. And keep portions of syrups, dressing, and sauces small. Conclude this topic by telling the participants that they'll have an opportunity to practice reading food labels in the next activity. Unless you're running a 60-minute session, in which case you'll go directly to topic G, the next activity is item F in the Trainer's Guide, and it's titled Find Me. The purpose is to provide the participants with the opportunity to read a food label. You'll use your markers, the flip chart, pens or pencils, and one copy of the Find Me worksheet for each participant. To begin the activity, give each participant a pen or pencil and a copy of the Find Me worksheet. Explain how the information on the food labels corresponds with what you just talked about in the previous group discussion. Ask the participants to write the nutritional facts listed on the label in the lines next to each sample food label. For example, they would write 3 cookies on the serving size line for the first label. Ask for volunteers to share their answers with the group. For example, you might ask for 1 volunteer for each of the 4 labels on the worksheet. To finish the activity, have the group come to a conclusion about the importance of using food labels to make healthier food choices, and then thank everyone for their participation. This topic addresses the importance of having an action plan. Distribute an action plan to each participant, then ask each person to review the items on the plan and select 1 or more items that they'll try to change or improve. The choices on the action plan include eat a variety of foods each day, eat less fat, cut down on salt, and eat more foods with fiber. The key points about the action plan in the Trainer's Guide recommend that you emphasize the importance of an action plan and how it relates to improving and maintaining a healthy life. Share with participants that lifestyle changes are made 1 step at a time. Therefore, they should be ready, willing, and able to make changes that will improve their chances for a better and healthier life. Explain that there are 4 questions you'd like them to ask themselves based on what they selected on their action plan. They are, what behavior would I like to change? Is it a behavior that I can do? What must I do to achieve this change? And When will I make this change? Ask participants to select their confidence level for the behavior they've chosen to change. Ask them to select a number on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, indicating how confident they feel about completing their action plan. If a participant's confidence level is less than 7, ask him or her to consider an easier plan. Conclude the session by distributing and explaining the Healthy Eating What You Need to Know handout. Invite the group to ask questions about the handout. Remember to thank the participants for their attendance and participation. Finally, invite them to return to the next session and encourage them to bring a family member or friend. Thank you for your contribution in sharing this important information, and thank you for participating in this training.